So it looks like we got confirmation again that the Ripple SEC case should be concluding by the end of September. You have David Schwartz here replying to a thread with the lawyer John Deaton. John Deaton said, so many people claiming something is strange because the Ripple decision is allegedly taking unusually long. Here are some facts to consider before putting your tinfoil hat on and jumping to conclusions. And then he goes into it. But then basically David Schwartz said, the Ripple CTO, I know waiting is annoying and we'd all love to have a ruling on summary judgment motions as soon as possible, but I wouldn't think anything was wrong, unusual, or strange until at least the end of September. And then we remember Brad Garlinghouse, CEO, saying that the case should end in the single digit months, which means that it would have to end by the end of September. So we're not too far away from the finish line here. Nothing good in life comes right away. So let's dive into it. This is a crypto newsletter. We're going to start off with a lot of BRICS and the de-dollarization, get into central bank digital currencies, and then some other things today. So if you're new here, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a like, and let's dive into it. So we just covered the David Schwartz and giving confirmation that at least to the end of September. What are we, like 2 months away from September? Is it really that long? I mean, we waited this long already. So should be wrapping up here soon. And the charts are telling us that we have the technicals aligning with a potential fundamental catalyst. So I would say we're closer than ever to a massive breakout. I think the next move out of XRP that tests that 54.5 cent level is going to be the one that blows through it. And that's such a critical resistance that if we have a catalyst, like a news event, like the SC case resolving at the time we're breaking that, watch out. That's all-time highs to me. So economist Jim Rickards, Biden is now a world historic figure. He has destroyed the dollar. Jim Rickards, economist and best-selling author, has accused the Biden administration of destroying the US dollar as a reserve currency. Rickards stated that Biden is to blame for the upcoming marginalization of the US dollars at the hands of a BRICS bloc common currency proposed on August 22nd. So Biden is now a world historic figure. He has destroyed the dollar, not an easy task, but he went on saying this. Let me go to it here. I'll go to the tweet. So right here. So Biden is now a world historic figure. He has destroyed the dollar, not an easy task. A BRICS gold-linked currency will be previewed August 22nd to be implemented in stages. SCO will merge with BRICS. Others will join. Dollars will still be around, but marginalized. Nice job, Joe. And then Janet Yellen was asked about it at a conference. So let's hear this.
The Russian government has announced that it will launch a BRICS currency in August. And I wonder if you had a chance to speak with the Chinese about that effort. You've spoken here and in other venues about not wanting to see any countries being forced to choose sides. This particular move would create essentially a parallel currency to the U.S. as the world's reserve currency. Can you that come up in your conversations? And you also talked about the head of the PBOC. The Chinese government has not yet announced that he will be taking place. Is it your understanding that Pan will take over as central bank governor? Thank you.
So on the currency issue, I just want to reiterate what I've said in the past, which is I think the United States can rest assured that the dollar is going to play the dominant role in international transactions, facilitating international transactions, and serving as a reserve currency in the years ahead. I don't see that role being threatened by any development, including the one that you've mentioned. I've said previously and would reiterate that because of the role of the dollar and its ability to enable us to implement sanctions, there certainly is motivation in countries around the world to find an alternative. But all the data of which I'm aware shows that the dollar is overwhelmingly close to 90% used in international transactions. And I don't think that there is an alternative that could possibly displace that for the foreseeable future.
There we go. So she's trying to downplay it, but that's a massive thing when they unveil that in August. Massive. And we're already seeing the dollar really getting close to levels where it's going to melt down. So now let's go into the next thing. We have central banks reduce US dollar holdings, plans to increase Chinese yuan exposure. Study shows a study by a 1.5 trillion asset management firm has revealed that central banks are reducing their US dollar holdings while seeking to increase Chinese yuan holdings. Central banks are diversifying currency holdings stirred by geopolitical uncertainties and attractive opportunities in emerging markets. I still can't get Operation Sandman out of my head. So remember about that, about them dumping US treasuries overnight. So we're seeing the de-dollarization happening every single day. Then Brazil's Cbdc pilot contains code that can freeze or reduce funds, Dev claims. I mean, that was always kind of projected as one of the drawbacks as retail CbdCs, the programmability of it, where they could freeze your funds or reduce, like poof, your money's gone if you don't act within their realms. So this is not out of what we already know about the programmability behind the central bank digital currencies. So that's that. And then let's go into Ripple Labs to revolutionize real estate industry through tokenization. An innovative pilot program aims to enable users to tokenize real estate assets and utilize them as collateral for loans, leveraging Ripple's Cbdc platform. Absolutely massive. I think this was at Hong Kong. Yep. So presented a use case that combines the digital Hong Kong dollar, tokenized real estate, and finance lending protocols. Absolutely massive. The real estate market is in the hundreds of trillions globally. So it's taking these illiquid assets and making them liquid through tokenization. Then we have Central Bank of Russia. Digital ruble could be launched as soon as 2025. Central Bank of Russia indicates digital ruble could be launched then. Stated that a pilot test of the digital currency is expected to take place this year after the State Duma, the lower house of the Russian parliament, passes the digital ruble law, which I believe they already did, because I have another news article that I think shares that in this that we're going to cover. Yeah, so to pass digital ruble law in July. So let's actually go to that next. Yep, this is it. So we just got confirmation that Russian Duma greenlights digital ruble. So pending approval from Vladimir Putin, the law will go into effect in less than a month on August 1st. So according to multiple local media reports and the Russian government itself, the Duma has approved the law that will introduce a digital ruble, and it will make Russia the largest nation to officially adopt a central bank digital currency should Putin sign off on the law. So there we go there. And then we have the New York Fed completes proof of concept for regulated digital asset settlement. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York's Innovation Center, in collaboration with members of the U.S. financial services sector, published the findings of the proof of concept that explored the feasibility of an interoperable network for wholesale payments operating on a shared multi-entity distributed ledger. So the research project, undertaken jointly with private sector organizations, experimented with the concept of a regulated liability network, a theoretical payment infrastructure designed to support the exchange and settlement of regulated digital assets. The proof of concept experimented with the following use cases: domestic interbank payments. This use case simulated USD wholesale payments between commercial banks and was intended to prove the core functionality of the theoretical payment system. And transactions were conducted in commercial bank deposit tokens and settled using a theoretical wholesale Cbdc, a tokenized record of a central bank deposit liability. Then cross-border payments in USD. This use case focused on cross-border USD wholesale payments and explored the potential of the concept to enhance the experience of global users of USD as an international trade and settlement currency. So this had just wrapped up. They launched this in 2021, and it was in partnership with the Bank for International Settlements. And now we're seeing these proof of concepts wrap up, and they're getting ready to really head into the full-scale launch, the launch of all these proof of concepts and go full-fledged with it. So then we got making headway, results of the 2022 BIS survey of central bank digital currencies and crypto. This was yesterday from the BIS. Most central banks are exploring central bank digital currencies, and more than half of them are conducting concrete experiments or working on a pilot. The BIS paper summarizes the findings of the latest survey of central banks on their views and plans regarding CBDCs. The responses from 86 central banks show that the proportion engaged in some form of CBDC work has risen to 93%, and the work on retail CBDC is more advanced than on wholesale. The paper shows that most central banks see potential value in having both a retail CBDC and a fast payment system, and that there could be 15 retail and 9 wholesale CBDCs publicly circulating in 2030. I would expect it to be before then. So we have that. I'm not going to dive into the guts of it. It's 32 pages. But then we have CBOE reaches an agreement on terms with Coinbase for Bitcoin ETF. The whole SEC kind of lawsuit on Coinbase, definitely all a facade when you have Coinbase being used in most of these Bitcoin ETFs. So latest amendments mirror language that already existed in NASDAQ's filing related to BlackRock's proposed product. CBOE, an exchange seeking approval from the SEC to list several spot Bitcoin ETFs, have resubmitted its applications with slight amendments regarding its surveillance sharing agreement with crypto exchange Coinbase. So yeah, I just bit my tongue so bad. But basically, I believe price is going to rise until we see a decision here for the Bitcoin ETF. I would say there's going to be choppiness until then. But like, I think let's see when the decision is supposed to be made. I think it was in like August or September. There's supposed to be a decision made, and I believe price will be higher before that decision. But it's going to be choppy until then. But yeah, so this was released today. CBOE reached an agreement on the terms with Coinbase. Then we have 1.1 billion XRP recently bought by whales. Here's what's happening. This was a few days ago. Sentiment had found that Ripple whales have purchased over 1.10 billion XRP since late February. We're seeing it constantly rise. Usually when we see a spike too, not far later, we see price rise as well too. Then we see more out of the BIS July 2023, setting the stage for CBDCs. You have this right here, the crypto ecosystem, key elements and risk. Conclusions: in just over a decade, crypto has gone from a niche activity to something that impinges on the mainstream financial system. While initially it was the preserve of a small set of enthusiasts, millions of retail users, as well as more and more institutional investors, have entered the crypto ecosystem in recent years. Crypto offers some elements of genuine innovation, such as programmability and composability. With these new functionalities, sequences of financial transactions could be automated and seamlessly integrated. Together with tokenization, this has the potential to reduce the need for manual interventions that currently delay transactions and create costs. That said, crypto has so far failed to harness innovation to the benefit of society. Crypto remains largely self-referential and does not finance real economic activity. It suffers from inherent shortcomings related to stability and efficiency, as well as accountability and integrity. These structural flaws result from crypto, for the most part, These structural flaws result from the underlying economics of incentives rather than the technological limitations. Furthermore, while DeFi and crypto, for the most part, replicate services offered by the traditional financial system, they can exacerbate known vulnerabilities. Taken together, the key takeaways from this report suggest that crypto's inherent structural flaws make it unsuitable to play a significant role in the monetary system. And then addressing the risks in crypto, the numerous risks posed by crypto have naturally generated a debate on the optimal policy strategies for mitigating them. Talks about containment, regulations, and bans. The bulletin contains details of the three approaches together with specific examples. Multilateral initiatives coordinated by the Financial Stability Board are already taking steps to reach consensus on the appropriate regulatory actions. The FSB has already published a proposed framework for the international regulation of crypto asset activities. And so it's going to be one of these international institutions like the FSB, these international standard setters, the FSB, also the G20. Right. So I think we have global stablecoin regulations from the FSB that are going to be kind of finalized this month as well, too. So we'll have to keep that on the radar. Yeah, right here. So second, it sets out revised high level recommendations for the regulation, supervision, and oversight of global stablecoin arrangements to address the associated financial stability risks more effectively. The IMF has also published its views on the core elements of an effective policy framework for addressing the risk posed by crypto assets. So we're seeing it all come together here. Then we have lessons learned on CBDCs, reports submitted to the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors. This was today, 33 pages long. The world's central banks are stepping up efforts to prepare the ground for central bank digital currencies, either as digital cash retail or tokenized reserves wholesale. This report shows how the BIS Innovation Hub is helping central banks on their CBDC journeys and discusses the lessons learned so far. The Innovation Hub has conducted 12 CBDC projects that cover retail and wholesale, both in a domestic and cross-border context. For domestic use cases, 2 projects investigate wholesale CBDC and 5 look at retail. Across borders, 4 experiments look at wholesale CBDC and 1 looks at retail CBDC. For each category, the key insights and lessons learned are presented from the perspectives of desirability, feasibility, and viability. For the different types of CBDC, the report finds wholesale CBDCs will be driven by the public and private sector's quest to shape the future of trading and settlement. A retail CBDC is a complex undertaking, and not only for the central banks. The Hub's projects focus on individual aspects to shed light on these complexities. In particular, they're experimenting with the most promising CBDC model, a two-tier model with public-private partnership, the most fundamental feature, privacy, and the greatest challenge, cybersecurity. Then cross-border CBDC arrangements are novel territory and more complicated than their domestic counterparts. Common platforms are likely to have more upside and bring potential operational efficiencies compared with current arrangements, but hub and spoke designs provide more flexibility for domestic systems and are thus easier to contemplate, at least in the short run. By leveraging new technologies, central banks can provide new solutions to many old operational challenges and policy questions. This is something that I'll probably dive into deeper. 33 pages, I'll pull that up, but I'm not going to dive into it right now in this newsletter. I'll probably save this for a deep dive because this probably has a whole lot of golden nuggets in here. So then we have SBP to launch Pakistan's first digital currency in 2 months. We have the State Bank of Pakistan is all set to launch Pakistan's first digital currency, expected within 2 months after the necessary preparations are completed. Increasingly seen as a potential replacement for physical cash, CBDCs are digital versions of cash that are issued and regulated by state-owned banks. So we're seeing across the board everywhere is launching central bank digital currencies. And we're going to see a lot come into light by 2025 and then full maturation by 2030. But Pakistan's central bank declared virtual currencies, including Bitcoin, Litecoin, Patcoin, OneCoin, Dascoin, and PayDiamond as illegal and prohibited their use in trading. Did not know that. So we'll have to see how this pans out. But all I know is in 2 months, we're going to see Pakistan CBDC and probably a whole lot of others, like the Bank of Russia had said as well too. More than 80% of central banks see potential value in having both a retail CBDC and a fast payment system, according to the latest BIS survey of central banks on CBDCs. You're seeing that right there. And then also we got, in a major blow to BRICS, India declares they are not interested in creating a common gold-backed currency. India does not wish to hurt trade deals with the US and the EU, desires to strengthen the rupee, and sees China using BRICS to their own benefit. What a turn of events, but there's no, I don't see, okay, all right, we got the source. So right here, BRICS plans to float a common currency and India's reaction to it. So suppose, yeah, I mean, what a change of events. But I definitely do see that being the case. I didn't think India would be all full-fledged for that because I know they have supposed strong ties with the EU, US. But interesting to see them come out with that. So yeah, so the new development bank floated assumes significance as it provides competition to the IMF. It seems like there's like 2 stages going on. You have the IMF, and then you have the new development bank. And they're both like kind of fighting to see who's going to control this new financial system and kind of new global order, I would say. Yeah, that's crazy because they fear that Xi Jinping could impose his vision of the global order when the new currency appears on the international stage. Yeah, so that it seems like there's a huge fight right now in the world. You got one side and the other side, and they're trying to see who's gonna take it home. And that remains to be unseen. We'll have to see. Then we have, according to data available on a central bank digital currency tracker, there are now at least 130 countries working on a CBDC, representing a staggering 98% of the global economy. It's coming. You have 98% of the global economy is testing, experimenting, piloting central bank digital currency. So this, I remember looking at this map and it wasn't lit up like a Christmas tree, but I'm assuming it probably is now. Yeah. It's lit up like a Christmas tree now. I remember looking at this years ago, and it was not lit up like this. But yeah, this is a more kind of interactive map. I like this one. So I'm going to probably dive deep onto this after this video as well, in tandem with that BIS lessons learned from CBDCs. But yeah, we're seeing it across the globe here, all active. So then we have, this was pretty interesting. So quietly, Binance launches XRP options. XRP now joins the select Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB group. Why XRP? Why just now? And then Digital Perspectives. According to former CFTC chairman, if there are futures on the asset, it's a commodity. If there's a yield earned, it's a security. XRP futures equal CFTC commodity. Very interesting. Yeah, like this person said, why XRP and why just now? Think we're getting close. Then we have this on top of it. With Judge Torres ruling at any time, will XRP fall into the abyss? So this is actually an inverted chart. To me, yeah, it's going to fall into the abyss, which means new all-time highs. You can see how this is inverted, $10 down here. We're coiling up, and this stretches until like the end of 2024. But I would say it's going to happen sooner than that. Usually when you coil up into like a descending triangle, this is a descending triangle, it happens 70% through the actual triangle. It would happen here, not at all the way in the kind of the pinnacle of it. So I think we're getting real close here. And I like this kind of inverse perspective on it. It just goes to show how close we are, to be honest. So that's interesting. And then this was interesting as well too. King Solomon said one H bar is always equal in value to another H bar. And this was in a PayPal patent. And big if true, 1H equals 1H. Wait, it is. Yeah. So this goes into what we do at Stargate with the peer-to-peer trading, the crypto to crypto swaps. We're not looking at the dollar amount. We're looking at, all right, if I swapped 1,000 XRP into another coin, and then by the time I swap back an XRP, say I have 1,100 XRP, that's a win. But if the dollar amount is less than what you originally swapped, it doesn't matter. We're looking at the coin quantity. So if we walk away with 100 more of the coin quantity, but the US dollar amount is lower, that's a win, because at the end of the day, one H bar is one H bar. One XRP is one XRP. One XLM is one XLM. There's a limited supply of these. So we all know that the mega moon is very close, and we know where these coins are going to head in the bigger picture in US dollar terms. But the key is growing the quantity and the amount of your coins, because at the end of the day, one H bar is one H bar, one XRP is one XRP, one XLM is one XLM. And at the end of the day, getting more of the quantity of the coin is what we're looking at, not the dollar amount, because we know in due time, the dollar amount will come. So that's it, guys. That's a newsletter. A lot of CBDC stuff, a lot of brick stuff as well, too. A lot of things heating up. Remember, at least the end of September. So I'll see you guys in the Discord and in the next video. If you're not already in the Discord, link is in the bio. Come join it. Come say what up. And I'll see you guys in the next video.